There was no keynote, no press release with a countdown clock. Microsoft's AI Toolkit for Visual Studio Code simply appeared one day under a new name, Foundry Toolkit. The extension identifier didn't change. It still reads MS Windows AI Studio .Windows AI Studio, a fossil from the product's first name, Windows AI Studio, announced at Ignite in November 2023. That's 3 names in roughly 2 years. And in enterprise software, renames are rarely cosmetic. They're organizational tells. They mark which team won the internal argument about where a product belongs. The rebrand undersells what actually shipped. What's inside that extension now is not a toolkit. It's an agent platform. To read the rename, you have to follow the parent brand. Azure AI Studio became Azure AI Foundry in late 2024. Then, in the Ignite 2025 cycle, Microsoft dropped Azure from the front of it entirely, positioning Microsoft Foundry as the company's umbrella platform for models, agents, and evaluation. Foundry models. Foundry Local for on-device inference. Foundry Agent Service for hosted, orchestrated agents. Under that architecture, an extension called AI Toolkit was an orphan. Renaming it Foundry Toolkit does one specific thing. It declares that the local developer experience and the cloud platform are now the same product, viewed from different ends. The original AI Toolkit had a narrow thesis: help developers download, fine-tune, and test small language models locally. ONNX runtimes, Ollama, some GitHub models access, a playground and a bulk run tool for batch prompts. The current catalog is a different animal. According to Microsoft's own documentation, developers can now discover and test models from Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, and NVIDIA NIM microservices in the same interface, alongside local models, and bring your own endpoints. That's the detail worth sitting with. Microsoft is shipping first-class discovery for Anthropic's Claude and Google's Gemini inside its own editor, inside its own platform's front door. Not grudgingly. As a feature, the centerpiece is Agent Builder, and it now forks in 2 directions. The first path is a no-code prompt agent. You describe the behavior. The toolkit helps generate a system prompt. You attach tools. You run evaluations against it. No SDK, no scaffolding, no deployment pipeline. The second path is a code-based hosted agent. The toolkit scaffolds real project files, wires them to the Foundry Agent Service, and hands you something you can version control and ship. Both paths share the same connective tissue: Model Context Protocol Servers. MCP is how the agent reaches file systems, databases, browsers, and internal APIs, an open standard Anthropic published in November 2024, now adopted across the industry. The less glamorous addition may matter more. Foundry Toolkit lets developers manage Foundry deployments without leaving the editor, provisioning model endpoints, inspecting what's already running, connecting a local project to a cloud project. Paired with the toolkit's tracing view, which ingests OpenTelemetry-style spans, you get something close to an end-to-end loop. Pick a model, build an agent, wire tools, evaluate, deploy, then watch what it actually did in production. Historically, that loop spanned 4 browser tabs and 2 portals. Consolidating it into the IDE is the entire strategic bet. The editor stops being where you write code and becomes where you operate systems. Microsoft isn't alone in this move, and the timing isn't coincidental. JetBrains shipped Junie, its autonomous coding agent, out of early access and into general availability across its IDE family during 2025, betting that deep language model integration with a mature code index beats generic chat. GitHub Copilot inside VS Code, meanwhile, has been iterating on a roughly monthly release cadence. Agent Mode, MCP support moving to general availability. The Copilot chat extension open-sourced in mid-2025. Frontier models with context windows reaching 1 million tokens, and an agent sessions view that lets multiple agents run side by side, local and cloud delegated at once. These products look similar and are not. Junie's bet is autonomy inside a single repository. Copilot's bet is parallelism and delegation. Spawn several agents, review their work, merge. Foundry Toolkit's bet is different again. It assumes you aren't the consumer of the agent. You're building one for someone else to consume. That distinction explains the feature list. Evaluation harnesses, bulk runs, tracing, deployment management. Those aren't productivity features for a solo developer. They're the operational scaffolding of a production AI service. The three converge on one point only: MCP. The tool calling layer is becoming shared infrastructure, even as everything above it fragments. Here's the honest caveat. The model layer is genuinely open. Anthropic, OpenAI, Google, NVIDIA, local weights, swap them freely. The tool layer is open by standard. An MCP server built today runs against multiple clients. The deployment layer is not. A hosted agent scaffolded for Foundry Agent Service is a Foundry artifact. That is the trade. Open at the edges, proprietary in the middle where the billing happens. It's the same pattern Microsoft ran with Azure DevOps, with GitHub Actions, with Visual Studio itself. Several of these capabilities also remain in preview, and preview features get renamed, restructured, or removed. Anyone building production dependencies should plan accordingly. So, a quiet rename, and underneath it, a full agent stack. The pattern to watch isn't the branding. It's that three major vendors independently concluded within roughly a year that the integrated development environment, not a web console, not a chat window, is where AI agents get built, evaluated, and operated. Whether Microsoft's version wins depends on questions nobody can answer yet. Does bundling deployment management into the editor create real velocity, or just a deeper dependency? Does open model choice survive contact with commercial pressure? The rename told you where Microsoft placed its bet. The next few release cycles will tell you whether it paid.